isolated. We are human, and we therefore like being in the presence of others. And I think, if anything, I've learned from watching the news that people are people. You know, you're looking into the newscaster's home, for Christ's sakes, and you're looking what's on the wall behind them as much as what they're having to say. So I think it brings a commonality, a humanness to everybody, including myself. And I really am motivated to share what I've done with my life. I've always been that way from the get-go. I started teaching, I've said that before. So I like to inspire people through not only the work that I do, but how I live my life. And that goes to this day, showing my house.
So to what I heard, and tell me if we got this right, okay, is in a way we are all in this together in these very unusual times, unprecedented times. And yes, we can all be sad about what we can't do, but rather you'd focus on what we can do.
Well, you know, here's the deal. Every time I've been thrown back, you know, I had a major theft 20 years ago, and rather than sit and sulk about it, I found ways to attach something positive to that. So yes, I've been home for 2 months, but I've worked on my garden. I've amassed a huge curriculum that I will be sharing in a couple of weeks. And so I kept myself busy. You know, sitting around moping and being unhappy is not the way forward. So I have maintained my spirits, my happiness, but I also, like everybody else, I'm ready to get out and travel, but not too soon. I want to play the game that we need to play in order for the entire country, well, the world actually, to be healthy. So sharing this time with my audience is a great thing for me, and I'm glad that people are getting into it as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome to know. Why don't we start with a few questions from the audience?
Okay.
And here's a few questions we got last time.
There is a not a stellar, but a California sea lion who barks about this time every evening, and he gets all the dogs in the neighborhood barking. You listen and you'll hear the sea lion, because we're, about a quarter of a mile from Puget Sound, and the sea lions are barking.
Wow. I mean, sounds like they're tuning into Tequila Live. Tequila Time with Art. There you go.
That's exactly.
We have a few more questions and some interesting ones for next time. So for everyone who is tuning in, thanks again. And we will be sure to address your questions, if not this time, for next time, because we do all, look at this and come back. So based on the question we got last time, here's a really good question that I thought. And this is a question from John Mills. John, lucky dude you are today. It's your question. And this actually is a question from others too. Question for you, Art. In your long, prolific career, is there one image that you captured and you said to yourself, this is why I'm here?
Yeah, I keep on going back to a shot that I shot in April of 2001. And it was in Varanasi, India, your home country. And it was a shot of a pilgrim that was about to cross the Ganges, and it was right at sunrise. I actually had met the pilgrim the night before, and I asked him to be down on the river's edge 20 minutes before sunrise. So I had him in his boat. He was actually camped across the river. Long story short, the sun was rising, beautiful red orb coming up over the Ganges. He was in the boat, facing away. I took the shot, and it turned out just as I had pre-visioned. And it still remains one of my more personal, but very satisfying image. You can't see his face. And I think that was critical, because if there's personality and gender, you know who it is, you recognize that. But without a face and without the gender, people can visualize being in that moment, because there's nothing to change what is happening. I think I really screwed up that answer, but you get the idea.
Yeah. No,
spiritual journey is what I call it.
No, that's really nice. I think just feedback on the Facebook. I think the Facebook audio isn't quite as good as Instagram. Apologies, people. I think we're trying our best as well. But maybe in a few minutes we should go inside, and that will hopefully address the Facebook feed. And thanks again for the feedback coming in. Again, good positive comments from your audience that I think there's a great idea here, which is we need an Art Wolfe reality show on Netflix to help us with the quarantine. Whoever's idea, I forget whose idea that was. We're going to steal that idea. It's our idea now, so thank you very much. Was it hard to pick just one image, or did you have to go through like a boy, like, I mean, in a long career?
I still remember it because it implies something exotic and something timeless. The whole spiritual connection. All of that is boiled down in that one photo. I've had great photos and memories. I shouldn't say I had great photos. I had great memories of my photos, and they vary from year to year. And wherever I've just come back, always is my favorite shot. But in fact, spiritual journey has the staying power and the timelessness, which I really, really appreciate. I don't want that memory ever to change.
Let's do this, if you're up for it. Let's put that image on your website, because I think it's a beautiful image. I have seen it. And then a question for the audience. Here's an idea. Would you like Art to do one Tequila Time episode, focus on, let's say not one, but your top 10 most inspiring moments of his life? Is that something that would be of interest to the audience? Please just, on the comments say yes, so we can try and do that one of these days soon, because I think boiling it down to one image, as powerful as that is, it can be hard, and there's so much more.
Before my memories fade, okay?
There you go. Let's do that. So let us know, and I think the yeses are coming in. Let us know, and let's try to do those top 10.
Okay.
Show and tell, if you will, right?
Hey, I do have obviously we cannot directly answer all the questions that come over the transom in 1.5 hour program. So we will be sitting down and answering all the questions that have come in, and that will be posted on our website. But I do remember one of the questions from our garden tour last week was, there's a lot of rocks in your yard. And in fact, I have over 100 tons of granite that I brought in from a quarry on the outskirts of Seattle. And it's nice to have something that people can't steal. So 100 tons of granite, vertical columns, and it was all inspired by a place in China called Huanshan, this sacred mountain. And so columns of granite was part of the whole deal.
Lovely, lovely. Well, with the kind of sound or the breeze impacting the sound, plus very exciting thing. Let's go inside. Right. Everyone, hang in there. We're going to go inside, and Art is going to take over and walk us through his beautiful art collection and his home tour.
All right. Perfect. So we are heading indoors. Say goodbye to the garden. Now into the inner sanctum, and past this little detail that I hired a First Nations person to carve that mask. I've scared the hell out of postmen that have come to the door sorting letters and suddenly looking up and seeing a face. And inside the entrance is a series of shelves that I have all things from hummingbirds to shells that I've collected, all sorts of stuff that I've collected over the years, tiny miniature things, including snuff bottles that I've collected in China. So memories, as you will see in this house, it is filled with memories that I've collected over the years, partly just to reflect back on places I've been, and including, with the light of the windows, this beautiful painting by an Aboriginal. I saw this in a gallery in Darwin some 25 years ago, and I purchased that, and that's always been part of my life. I love it. And looking to the right is a Dogon Mask, which is hanging literally upside down because part of this mask sticks out and people keep tripping over it. So I hang it upside down. But as you will see, I'm really drawn towards cultural work, but also primitive art. So earth-toned colors, handmade crafts is something I'm really into. Not so much shiny, slick, modern art, but old things. Maybe I'm an old soul. I did a basket book as the first book I ever did, so I collect baskets. Some of them are modern, some of them are very old. I love, again, handmade crafts and the details, and much of which is a lost art. So now as we go into the main living room, it's an old Tudor-style house that was covered in ivy, and so I was able to buy this house And the first thing I did was pull up the red shag carpet, the velvet wallpaper, and just open and rebirth the house as it must have been when it was built in 1910. By Seattle standards, that's a fairly old house. And with the lighting in the interior, you can't quite look outside, but there's a view to the Olympic Mountains and Puget Sound. And I love looking outside, and as I walk closer, the light will adjust, and now the mountains start to come out. They're still somewhat in the clouds, but bald eagles fly by constantly all day long, and literally I've watched orcas from my living room and from my bed, which we'll see later in this tour. So as I pan across the interior of the house, I show you some antlers that I found in the Olympic Mountains. Oh, I must have been around 25 years old. I collected them. The rangers actually let me take them out of the national park. Today, I'm sure that wouldn't be true, but I've got them now. And above is an Eskimo mask from Nunavak Island, big island off the coast of Alaska. It's a classic mask. And even down here is my coffee table with the granite rocks. So I'm bringing part of the exterior of the garden in the interior, and I actually designed that coffee table. So now we are moving along. So this is a great old house. I was very lucky to get it back at a time when the housing market was very marginal. I think it was back in 1986. And so this house was on the market for 11 months, and I came along and saw the view and the trees around it, and I offered much cheaper offer than what was on the market. And the older lady said, okay, we'll take it. I'm tired of listing this house. You're looking at some of the masks that I've collected, all First Nations masks. And what is that saying on, oh, those are questions, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm so clueless. All right, so now we're in the dining room area of this house, and again, a beautiful basket down here collected in Albuquerque. Beautiful old First Nations basket with human figures on it. And as we pan to the right, boy, my arm is getting tired. But remind me to work out. Anyway, this is one of my prized possessions, Macaw headdress from the Kyapo tribe. I was given these headdresses by the chief, some 30 years ago when I was doing a book on tribes. And the chief, actually, his brother's wife was sick. And as I landed in my small plane in the jungle, he asked if we could save his brother's wife by flying her to Brasilia to a hospital, which how can you say no? We got her on the plane, they left, and the chief took off his headdress and gave it to me and said, anybody you want to photograph, you are free to do. And so 2 days later, we heard that the wife survived. She had appendicitis, and it was a really good ending to that story. And we're now looking past some artwork into the kitchen. The kitchen was rebuilt when I moved into this house, and the corner of the structure is where the house ended, and then I've put on, over the years, additions that expand out towards the green belt to the north. And on that deck, as you see outside, I've had barred owls sitting on that deck. Great horned owls come through, and I'm at eye level of these trees. So the canopy, and from this house, almost every view looks out over trees. This is why I purchased this house. So as I walk through this open kitchen, the most important thing in the house is my espresso machine, because I cannot function without caffeine in the morning. All right, so over the years, I've done a lot of work to this house. And yeah, there's a TV in the kitchen. There's too many TVs, I'm embarrassed to say. And as we walk back through the kitchen, again, views to the west. This is I'm honing in now on a pole that I bought in Australia, Aboriginal pole from which it's called a burial pole. So it's beautifully adorned with carvings, but as somebody died, they would put their ashes in that pole. It was empty when I bought it. And to the left is a shield from the Asmat tribe in New Guinea. And on the door to my office is a beautiful painting that I collected in Bhutan. So virtually everywhere in my house is artwork. Everywhere. So my belief is if you want to be an artist, live like an artist. Fill your life with art. And most of the artwork that I'm showing you is really inexpensive. So you don't have to be rich to have art in your life. Speaking of which, this is a painting that I did some 10 years ago. And I had a minor operation which made me homebound for about 10 days. And so I was on some sort of medication which made my brain free enough to take some of the photographs I've taken of rock art throughout the world, from Africa, Australia, South and North America. And I combined a lot of the figures that I had in my photos into this watercolor painting. I call it Blue Bear because in the middle is a Southwest replica of a photograph of a blue bear. Okay, I'm quite clever that way. And down the hall is another painting, or actually a line drawing I did of artwork. So yeah, I've put some of my own artwork up over the years. And in the bathroom, you're going into Art Wolfe's bathroom. Okay, I'll turn the light on. This is the only room in the house that's incongruous with the rest of the house. I've got a Keith Haring painting above the toilet. Okay, enough about that. But yeah, this main floor bathroom has silver wallpaper and funny lights and photographs from the human canvas work. And I just love this bathroom. And it is used quite often when I have parties around Christmas and New Year's, and pretty simple stuff. You wanted a tour of the house, you're getting a tour of the house, including one of my paintings that I did years ago called Man. And it is detailed, various details. Okay. All right, out of the bathroom. Oh, and right outside the bathroom is a beautiful door from Tibet. Yeah, with the shine of the lights, but it's a beautiful painting on a door that I purchased at a gallery in Seattle. I didn't get this in Tibet, but it's just beautiful. The colors and the patina on the door, the shininess of the door is something that really highlights this main floor. Now we're going up into my bedroom. Yeah, these stairs that you're about to see is I eat like a pig. But I'm up and down these stairs 30 times a day. I have no idea what I'm going to do when I get too old to climb these stairs. But for right now, I still can negotiate it. And on the way up the stairs are masks from New Guinea that I've collected over the years, and Africa. I'm going slow so I don't get out of breath. And this upstairs is radically changed from the house that I moved into, because at one time there was about 3 small rooms with a ceiling that was about 6 feet high. And so basically about 25 years ago, we cut the floor off and opened up and vaulted the ceiling and basically made one big cavernous room that's bigger than the house I grew up in. And of course, there's a view to the west. And I have, as I said earlier, seen orcas from my bed. That's pretty amazing to sit up. You have an instant weather report as you look to the west, because all the weather that comes into Seattle, and Washington comes from the west, from the North Pacific. So it is an open bedroom. You know, my parents, I wouldn't call them hoarders, but post-war families never threw anything out. And so I keep my house really open. And you see that. So the bed has Asmat carvings above it. The fabric on the bed is something I got out of a mill in Brussels, Belgium, that I saw in a lodge in Africa, so I tracked that down. Again, I'm drawn towards earth-toned things. The rug I'm passing over, I bought in Morocco, in Marrakesh. Virtually little shelves everywhere. This is a picture of Gabrielle, who made the margaritas again tonight. And again, Gabrielle has worked with me for the last 27 years. Reset the camera. Oh, we have to reset the camera. Okay. There you go. Thank you. So that's Gabrielle naked on the Carmel coast. It's an androgynous photo. You can't tell if it's a male or female. But I was doing my homage to Edward Weston along the Carmel coast. All right. Mask from Ivory Coast. This is my office. My office and my desk, where I've spent an inordinate amount of time working on pathways to creativity, which we will be bringing to the audience in 2 weeks. Yeah, 2.5 months. I've been sitting at this desk, if you can believe it or not. That, as well as working on the garden and the hillside below the house. And as I walk through my bedroom, I want to pause and look at this piece behind the bed, which a good friend of mine, Bill Edwards, made. He is way too kind to me, but he made this out of cherry, and it's got lights and more shelves for me to collect things. I'm a collector. I love art, and as I said earlier, if you want to be an artist, live like an artist. And on the main wall is one of my favorite photos from the human canvas. Cracked clay. We have a problem with lighting, but what the heck. So that's one of my favorite photographs from that series. And now we go into the upstairs bathroom. And again, a vaulted ceiling. This is filled with slate, but views again out the window to the green belt below my house. I love this bathroom. Shower has no stall, it's just open slate. And again, showering and looking out over the canopy of trees. Sometimes I see red-tailed hawks in these trees, sharp-shinned hawks, barred owls. So it's a great place to come home. But to live here, I work basically every day. I never take a day off. Passing through, oh, there's the photo I talked about. It's virtually above the toilet. Spiritual journey. That's the shot we're talking about. All right. Past little frog. Avoiding the big mirrors above the sinks, otherwise you see, well, what the hell? This is what we look like. Yeah, this isn't 6 feet apart, but I've had him tested. He's okay. So back out, there's the closet. The clothing closet's a walk-in closet that's useless to look at. Although all my shirts are color-coded. Did I say I was type A? All right. Out to the trees. Yeah, this is why I moved into this house. It's just every view is either to the trees or the water. And I'm 5 minutes from downtown Seattle. But now that the West Seattle Bridge is broken, that'll be 25 minutes. But now you can see by the lighting, the camera is doing much better at showing the water and the trees. All right, I think we're going back downstairs. This house is open. It's not necessarily huge, but it's a warm, good-hearted house, just like its owner. I should say something about the floors. When I pulled off the carpet, I found all this Russian oak. So in 1900, oak came in from Siberia, and it's cut differently than oak that the American cut would be. So that was a great find. And now I'm going into my favorite room of the house, the den. Okay, I'm going to reset this.
Here.
Okay.
Oops. Okay.
All right, so this is my den. And this was actually a wet bar when I moved in. It was dark wood panels and green vinyl bar. And you can see from the den is a great view to the garden. And as I pan across this den, more shelves, about 500 books. And this is where I spend more time. Even though that most of my rooms are open to the water and the mountains, there's something about human nature that we like to be in closed off areas, private areas. And so the color of the room is all this warm wood, and it's filled with artwork. Shelves and shelves and shelves of artwork. So I love this place. Yeah, and I've been watching Netflix at night after I've been working on the computer all day. I chill out just like everybody else. These are funny things. These are necklaces made out of wooden penises that in the Thai culture at a different era, you would wear these for good luck and good health. So necklaces of penises, you see that in India, in Thailand, Cambodia, in Asia in general. Wooden phalluses are a sign of good health, fertility. Speaking of fertility, there's a wooden carving of a pregnant torso from Africa. So I'm running out of shelves. That's my biggest fear. What happens when I no longer can collect artwork? So that's basically the house. And carvings. And, you know, for the funniest thing is, for the longest time, I think I have to do this. I'm not, by the way, technically inclined. All right, thank you. So that view of for the longest time, I lived in here, and the couch was right up against that window, and I'd be watching a TV the opposite direction. And finally, after about 10 years, I wised up to the fact that I should be looking towards the garden, not away from the garden. But that took 10 years for me to figure that one out. Okay, so that's the tour.
That is awesome, Art. Thank you so much. Well, I was seeing all the comments quietly as you were kind of showing the house, and I'm going to read out one comment which Mark Combs, which is all of a sudden Mark hates his house. Looking at your house.
Oh, you know, but the thing I want to really reiterate is not any of the artwork that I've shown is very expensive, and you can start with the most rudimentary thing that you love. If you love the piece, then embrace it. Fill your life with those things. Collect slowly. I'm 68. I've been collecting for most of my life. So you're seeing that. It didn't instantly occur. But my belief is, again, if you want to be an artist, live like an artist. So listen to me. If you want to be an artist, live like an artist. And it doesn't mean you have to be wealthy. You know, plant your garden, fill your life with things that inspire you. I love nothing more than to show the garden last week or give a tour of my house. I said before, I opened the house up to groups that are doing fundraisers. I want to share what I love. That's basically what photographers shoot for their audience. Writers write for their audience. Cooks cook for their patrons. You know, we share what we love, and people come into my garden all the time. They're drawn by the waterfalls and the stream. They're total strangers. I don't have fences or keep out signs. I don't have perimeter fences or anything that separates me from other people. So I love to share what I'm into.
I love that. I love that. What you just said is, listen to me. If you want to live, what did you say? Repeat.
If you want to live like an artist, be an artist.
That is phenomenal. That is great. What a message. What a message.
No, I actually screwed that up, but because that was the tequila, which was Gabrielle. That was a really good margarita, by the way. If you want to be an artist, live like an artist. That's the quote.
That is great. That is good. That's an art. That's an original Art Wolfe quote.
That is definitely.
We should put that on the website. That is great. I gotta say, personal comments. I've been in this home a few times, but I didn't know the stories, and I gotta say, the bathroom and the bedroom. I'm a marketing guy. The best sex ever and the best shit ever. I think, based on those two rooms, it's just so beautiful.
Those words were so eloquent.
I do want to thank you because it is not easy to let your fans into your home.
It's easy for me because I've never really been private. Mm-hmm. I've never been a really private person. So it goes to the fact I don't have fences or keep out signs. I open up my house to total strangers. It's just part of it. I don't live in fear. And that is, in fact, one of the reasons I've been able to travel all my life worldwide. My parents, even though they would be arrested in today's world, they trained me to take a bus from West Seattle all the way downtown, take a transfer up to Capitol Hill in Seattle, and go to an art school for families of impoverished. Impoverished families had a free art school for their children. And at 7 years old, I would take the bus downtown. But that was very empowering to me. Allowed me to travel the world without intrepidation. And so I don't live in fear of other humans.
I'm just intrigued, since you said, you don't have fear, you let everyone in. That is beautiful. Question for your fans and your audience. Would you like perhaps an episode where we just look at all these 500 plus books, maybe there's more, and why these books and what it does to you, what it does to a creative soul. Would love to hear from you all on both Instagram and Facebook, whether that's something that, in addition to the top 10 kind of epic moments, is that another episode you would like to see where Art walks us through some of his book collection and what it does to him. Please let us know.
We could do that.
You would be open to that? That would be awesome.
Of course.
That would be awesome. I just had on a more profound note, as you were doing the home tour and you said that this is actually not some rich guy buying a rich house. It's actually, a hard work of labor and an artistic pursuit. Here's a quote I came up with from Google that I found, which I feel is really apt to both you and also your home. And this is the quote. Every block of stone has a statue inside it, but only an artist can discover it. You know who said this? Michelangelo.
Wow.
So I truly say it, and I'm a good friend, I've known you for a long time, but I truly said it's inspiration to us all.
Thank you.
For allowing us into your home and your art collection, and also really landing that message is to, if you want to be an artist, live like an artist. That is great.
And it can start on a very modest level. But I'm always amazed if, when I drive downtown, I pass houses that are pretty, there's no gardens, it's gravel right to the edge of the house. And, if they've got a brand new car in their parking lot, I'm sure they can afford a plant here or there. But they have such a sterile life, or from what I perceive. I just fill my life with things that inspire me, uplift me, and it keeps me running on a very high level of energy, which I have to have if I'm working, worldwide all year long. So, it's by intent, not by accident.
That is great. And again, thank you, Art, and thank you for all our fans and audience to tune in. And do share this with everyone in your family and friends and even kids. I'd love to know if this is something that inspires your kids and the millennials and Gen Z, because here's a wealth of wisdom and creativity and artistry that I think everyone can benefit from. I'll be sure to show this to my son as well.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Art.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. See you next week. Sorry. A lot of work. You wound up